lived in Thailand for 5 years now. Was traveling here 10 years before that, and one of the top priorities every time I visited in the early days was finding a gym. Of course, when you come to Thailand, the gyms are plentiful. Fitness is a big thing out here, and one of the things people want to do when they come here, sweating it out in a sweatbox gym, it's part of the experience, in my opinion. I wouldn't want to do it every day. But when you're on holiday, especially, you're drinking at night, etc., you want to get in the gym, you want to sweat it all out, go home, have a shower, freshen up, go out and start chasing poon. So in the interest of producing videos more regularly, looking at different topics, why not start with my number one topic preference, which is working out, exercise, staying fit. It's my biggest passion. I go to the gym every single day. During my time traveling here in Thailand, living here in Thailand, I have been to, God knows, over 100 gyms. They really do vary. So I'm going to give you a couple of pieces of advice if you are traveling, particularly for travelers, but if you're living here as well, of what I would look for, what I would be cautious of, and where you're probably going to find it. Let's talk about the price first of all, because I've got two trails of thought when it comes to how much you should pay for a gym here in Thailand. The most surprising thing you might find is that gyms here are actually a little bit more expensive than you might think. Back home now, we live in this era of the 24-hour gym, everything convenient, everything on your doorstep. Back in Manchester, England, where I'm from, of course, there's all sorts of different gyms, but you can get a good gym for £15 a month, which is probably about 500-600 baht. Whereas here in Thailand, to get a good gym, you might be looking at 3 times that, at least 2 times that. The pricing system is a little bit different now. For me, living here permanently, it's all about give and take, right? Because the rent I'm paying, for example, in this beautiful oceanside condo is crazy cheap compared to what I would get for the same price back home, which would be probably nothing. Food here is a lot cheaper. Certain things, certain luxuries like a gym membership might put you back a little bit more. A lot of these condos, they are of course going to have gyms themselves, so this might not be an issue for you unless you are looking for something very specific in your gym. Me, it's a bit of a deciding factor over whether you're going to need a gym membership or not. So in this gym, for example, when I first moved here, I thought, you know what, I can work with this gym for a couple of months. It's got Smith machine squat rack, it's got cables, it's got dumbbells, etc. I can get a good workout in here. Vacation, it would be great, perfect, hotel gym, etc. But a couple of months down, I sort of outgrew this gym in the sense of I really wanted to push myself further, have more options available. And that is the difference between whether you're going to just use a condo gym because it's convenient and there, or whether you need to look further afield. So I'm currently going to Jets Fitness, which is, in my opinion, the best gym in this particular area. They do really vary in terms of size, in terms of quality, but over in the city there's a really nice one. It is 1,500 baht a month, which is probably about 35 to 37 quid. Not particularly cheap compared to other gyms around, but it's got everything I need. I have been to gyms in the past which were as little as 1,000 baht a month, and I have been to gyms in the past which were getting up towards 3. I've seen gyms which were even more expensive than that, but so when you're getting into that range, you're probably paying for other sort of amenities like pools and saunas, etc. So again, it really does depend what's important to you, but also I've got a swimming pool, I've got a sauna right here. Here I have those luxuries available where I'm living, so the gym itself is just for working out. Now the gym I go to is a franchise. Now people can't work out there daily. It's one of them where you have to sign up, be a long-term member. If you're watching this as a potential tourist, a future tourist, you're probably thinking about day passes. You're going to be looking at somewhere where you can pay daily, and I'm just going to tell you what I think. 200 to 400 baht a day is about the max that I would pay here in Thailand. I think anything over 400 baht a day, which, you know, you're looking at like 12-15 quid there, is just excessive. And if you are getting quoted that price, 500, 600 baht a day, I mean, it's completely up to you whether you do it or not, but I am confident that if you are in a tourist area, there'll be something close by which is probably just as good for a much more reasonable price. I used to train at Muscle Factory, which is the biggest gym in Bangkok, one of the most famous gyms out here, and I think their day rate was 400 baht a day. Their monthly rate was 2,000 baht a month, and I think that's really reasonable for what you get. When I was in Tokyo, for example, when I lived in Tokyo, the gym I went to there did have day passes, and you're looking at twice that price, but that's because you're in Japan. So you have to really put everything into perspective. Of course, it's up to you how you spend your money, but if I was getting quoted 600 baht, I'd be thinking to myself, it's a little bit steep for a one-day pass. I could probably find something better close by. Having said that, we have to also remember we're living in this social media generation nowadays where everybody who does travel here probably looks at YouTube, looks at TikTok, Instagram before they come out here. Everyone's seeing the same information. So when you do turn up at somewhere like Muscle Factory, it's very, very busy. There are some locals in there, but also there are a lot of foreigners passing in and out. Of course, you will be one of them. It gets a bit hectic. Everyone wants their moment on Instagram. Everyone wants to walk through the little door that says, you know, danger, do not enter. Videos on the crazy machinery that they've got in there, because they've got some wild machines that a lot of these influencers come out here and use. So everyone wants that moment. Of course, if you want that moment too, then you're part of that crowd. Me, I want to focus on my workout. I've got those gimmicks out of my system 10 years ago. I just want to fucking train hard when I'm in the gym, kind of have my peace and my space. And if you're going to go to somewhere that's popular, that's trendy, that's very famous on social media like that, you're probably going to be working in and out with people. You're probably going to be, you know, looking around for space. So that's just something I would keep in mind personally. I try to avoid the busier, trendier places. I try to go to the quieter spots. As long as it's well maintained, in my opinion, you can still do everything you need to do, but you've also got that peace and quiet where you can just get on with it and focus on yourself. Last thing I'll say about this one, guys, is if you are coming from Europe, from back home in the West, then gym etiquette, just etiquette in general, is very important out here in Asia. During COVID especially, they really started hammering down on wiping your machinery down, things back after yourself. It sounds very basic, you shouldn't really have to say it, but you're not used to that. Be mindful of that. If you're the sort of person who uses the dumbbells and then just leaves them on the floor and walks away, first of all, you're a bit of a knobhead. Realize that out here especially, people show a lot more courtesy towards other people, a lot more respect. If you've been doing, you know, some heavy bench press and there's a big sweat patch over the bench, there's sweaty handprints all over the bar. Most gyms, they've got some small towels, some rags, they've got some disinfectant spray. Just give it a spray, wipe it down. It's the sort of thing that sounds very basic, very obvious, especially for someone like me who's been out here for so long, but it's not going to make you stand out. You're not going to stand out. People aren't going to be, oh, here's the fucking knobhead tourist. Keep that in mind, my friends. But if you've got any other questions, feel free to drop them down below. I have worked out in Bangkok, Phuket, Samui, Phang Na, Krabi, Pattaya, Ayong, Chanthaburi, Chonburi, Isan. I've been all over the show, and there aren't different rules for different places, guys, but if you've got any specific questions about specific gyms in specific regions, feel free to drop them down below. See you in the next one.